And we are live. Welcome to the Renegade podcast. I'm your host, the Dashing Rogue. And we are traveling through hyperspace right now. We are going to try to find a new home. Trying to find a new place to, I guess, I don't know. We're trying to find a new direction, so to speak. Let's just say that. And, that's where we are. We're traveling through the void of space. Trying to find, something. We'll figure it out. But for those who want to know, that was Highway, and that was Highway by the Hurricane Turtle. Highly recommend his channel. Very, very good music, in my humble opinion. So, let's see what else we got here. Alrighty, how many people we got on here? 2 viewers so far. That's pretty good. Alrighty, so we're going to talk tonight about a few things. So, this Golden Age meme, right? We're in the Golden Age arc because apparently we just got through the Black Swordsman arc, right? Now we have to go into the Golden Age arc because, we have to Tarantino this shit, okay? So we already know that the forces of chaos are at bay, but how did the forces of chaos get to this point, right? So all this shit has happened before, and all of it will happen again, unfortunately. There we go. Behold the viewing globe. Oh. Now this was interesting because this is from an orthobro perspective. So an orthobro, and again, for those of you out there who think that I'm a little bit off here, I don't hate the Orthodox Church. I legitimately just think that the Russians have infiltrated the Russian Orthodox Church and may have a lot of influence within other parts. So I'm kind of a bit more skeptical, if that makes any sense. Alrighty, let's try this out.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I've prepared some reflections, and I'm entitling them "The Golden Age?" in response to the inaugural address given by our 47th president, President Donald Trump, last evening. President Trump became the 47th president.
Look at that
contrast,
of the United States. No, legitimately, like the Orange Man meme. The mainstream media doesn't exaggerate this. I mean, look at this: white. There's white, and then he's orange. It literally, again, it is a real thing.
You may wonder how our 45th president can now become the 47th president. That's because we in America have the tradition of counting presidents by their terms, not by their names. So the 45th term was President Trump's, and the 47th term is President Trump's. We have lots of presidents who have served 2 consecutive terms, like President Barack Obama did, and President George W. Bush, etc. Many U.S. presidents have done that, but very few. In fact, there's only one other president that has done what Donald Trump has done, and that was President Cleveland.
Ludicrous
At the end
speed.
of the 19th century, he was, I think, our 22nd president and our 24th president, the only other president that served 2 non-consecutive terms in American history. I was struck by the opening sentences of President Trump's inaugural address. He said, "The golden age of America starts now."
And my fellow citizens, the golden age of America begins right now.
Now, President Trump is an optimist. He's always been an optimist.
Yep.
And not short on promises.
Right.
But this was an inaugural address full of rhetorical flourish after rhetorical flourish. He also said this at the beginning of his speech: "We, the citizens of America, are now joined in a great national effort to rebuild our country and to restore its promise for all people." I certainly hope so. That is a great hope. President Trump laid out many important goals that he and his administration have for the country these 4 years. Not just a few. I've collected them here in my notes. Let me just read a quick collection of them. These are his stated goals.
Yep.
Halt all illegal entry into the country. Deport millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. Militarize the U.S.-Mexico border. Invoke the Alien Enemies Act to eliminate foreign criminal networks in the U.S. Designate cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Declare a national emergency and increase oil production. Fill strategic oil reserves and export American energy all over the world to make us rich, rich, rich. Defeat inflation. establish the External Revenue Service to collect revenues, duties, and tariffs, build the strongest military the world has ever seen, measure success by the wars that we end and the wars we never get into. I was particularly taken by that statement. May it come to pass with God's blessing.
Yep, and then what they'll do is they'll say, "Oh, we don't want to have we have to have a golden age. We can't intervene in the wars. That goes against the narrative."
Stop radical social experiments in the armed services. Reinstate members of the military who were unjustly expelled for refusing to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Establish the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Take back control of the Panama Canal. Stop government censorship and uphold the First Amendment and its protection of free speech. Return law and order to U.S. cities. Stop the weaponization of the justice system, so-called lawfare. End the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. Make it the official government policy that there are two genders, male and female, and end the chronic disease epidemic, and more. Whew. What a list. Most of those goals and those great concerns President Trump articulated over and over again during his campaign for the presidency, and Americans have certainly spoken by giving him this strong mandate to pursue those things. But my question is, can they be done? Can they be done? Well, Trump has a...
I think some of them can be, and I think a lot of them have been done on paper, but now we have to see them in practice, and that's a big one. How are we going to have this practice? The praxis of, our principles and our policies. Force works, but, let's just be frank with ourselves. When these leftists start gluing themselves to everything, and it's like every other fucking day, and we're talking like, if we all, if they... There's enough of them that they're all in the same place at the same time. There's not going to be a refresh of troops, let's say. Just arrest them all at the same time. But the problem here is there's so many of them.
Assembled an incredible team, a collection of like-minded leaders from a broad swath of American life, and he did receive a very encouraging, strong mandate from the country. But can these things actually be done? Some of these things obviously can be done very quickly, hence the 26 executive orders that President Trump signed yesterday. This is by far the largest number of executive...
And 26 executive orders 6 days ago. We're at like 300 now, right?
Orders that have ever been signed by a U.S. president. We'll leave the subject of executive orders aside. From another perspective, a perspective different than those things that can be done very quickly, it might seem to the nation that a new golden age has arrived just by stopping some of the hideous developments that have been taking place in recent years. The war in Ukraine and the Middle East, if those wars can successfully be brought to a conclusion...
They won't, because then they'll play the golden age card. And again, the fucking Russians will play that, they'll play that card. They will literally play the golden age card.
I think there'll be such a sigh of relief and such a sense of gratitude that it might seem like the gold is appearing. If extreme inflation can be tamed, if our skyrocketing debt can stop, if violent crime can be reduced, if...
I don't know if I'm just on drugs too much, but this guy legitimately it's like taste spaghetti almost. Like, we're in spaghetti vision now, chat.
A return to basic responsibility for things like infrastructure could arise in the hearts of political leaders. We Californians are just suffering terribly from this, such a neglected state. And on and on. America has been in such a bad way for so long that just to put a halt to some of these sorrowful developments might seem like the breaking in of a golden age. But can we really say that we're going to be able to accomplish so many beautiful things that a new golden age has started? I have no idea. I just don't know. I do know...
And even then, what the fuck is a golden age, right? Like, what is a golden age? Who gets to decide that? Like, for all I know, being able to get, like, a McRibs or whatever the fuck it is every single other day is considered a golden age. Like, legitimately. Like, and I'm not talking to get into the whole, we're against consumerism. I mean, like, legitimately, what are your fucking expectations for a golden age? Oh, anything you want's America. I'm like, not good enough. We're talking about policy and shit, right? So what do you, as an individual, what are you personally doing? Like, right now, I'm trying to save up my cash, and hopefully this next paycheck, I'm going to have enough money to save some, pay off some of my debts, and hopefully, all things considering, start stacking the cash, and then taxes, right? But ultimately, maybe even start a business. Who knows? But you gotta play you gotta play ball with what the administration wants. And from what I understand, they want babies. And the problem with that is we already have seen what happens when you have government incentivized babies. You get Charlie Chesko's shit, right? From fucking Romania, right? That those kids. Have you ever seen Black Lagoon, the vampire twins? No, I'm sorry, it's not. They're literally vampires, guys. It's not because they're freaking Romanian.
Know this though, that the ultimate gold age, the ultimate golden age, is the church age, and it started 2,000 years ago when the one and only King of Kings, the only politician who has power to overturn darkness, to eradicate every evil, to atone for sin, to defeat Satan, to slay death, and to open paradise to everyone who will accept him and his love and leadership in their lives. That is the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings, the Master himself, our loving Savior, Jesus Christ. He is the one who has established the golden age of the church. He is the one who will bring the whole world to a climactic conclusion and establish heaven on earth forever. We heard it.
I believe that. Amen. But the problem here is the motherfuckers who always say the grass is always greener on the other side. And the people who have these expectations that because Trump's in power, and again, I'm going to criticize Trump here, but, you know, at the same time, hold him accountable. And so far, you know, I don't even know how many freaking executive orders he's done so far. This video was taken 6 days ago. It's like 26, they said. Right? 27, 26, 29. I can't remember. But again, but you got to look into this shit because I want to know what he's doing. I want to know because that's a lot of fucking crap. That's a lot of, you know, executive power being pushed out there, you know? And some of it, you know, is taking away stuff, but some of it you got to ask yourself the question, can we read the fine print? Is this actually going to be doing stuff that's going to, you know, take away our freedoms? You know, what is the spillover, so to speak? You actually have to ask those questions, but don't let these people, you know, get this notion of that we're in cyclical cycles of history, because those people love the notion of the golden age, and they will try to fuck with you.
His name last evening, or yesterday morning, I should say. It wasn't in the evening. I watched it in the evening, but it was in the morning. And there were a number of clergymen who came and offered prayers on behalf of the president and the nation. I was particularly blessed by the Reverend Franklin Graham, the son of the late Reverend Billy Graham, quite a figment in American national life, an incredible preacher. Reverend Franklin Graham delivered a beautiful prayer and upheld the name of Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He specifically said that as any Christian clergyman should. Such a marvelous contribution. Thank you, Reverend Graham. Can President Trump actually accomplish all these goals? And if not all, can he accomplish most, or perhaps even many?
Can he cold hit read ourselves into a golden age? That's the real question, right?
Can you help revive traditional American virtues? Well, time will tell. Time will reveal. We pray for the president and all those in public service.
Yeah, but the problem here with time with reveal is that we have cyclical cycles of history, so we're kind of fucked, aren't we? You know? I mean, just make the best with what you can with what you got right now. That's the best thing you guys can do. That anyone can do. So let's see what else we got here. Oh boy. Oh well. Let's see. This will be fun. So because we're going through hyperspace, we always have to be very careful, because despite the fact that we are going through hyperspace trying to find a new home, there's always those motherfuckers who want to board and take our shit. Yes, chat. Sticks, Hex, and Hammer now has a fucking tricorn hat, and unfortunately he looks way too good in it. Almost like he's look at this. It's like a fucking it's like oh, what the hell is it? Let's see if I can even get even smaller. It's like a video game. There we go. Wow.
All right, everyone.
Prepare to be boarded.
We have another qualified win. I don't agree with the full decision, but by and large, I agree with it, which is that the Trump State Department, run by Marco Rubio, yes.
Yeah, the rubies. Give me the rubies.
Little Marco, it's Rubio. Wish I had a water bottle to throw across the room. Has frozen almost all foreign aid for 90 days, actually. This is pretty much exactly what Core MAGA wanted. There are only two exceptions.
He looks way too fucking good in these freaking. He looks. I don't know, man. I kind of. Well, it makes sense. We have to beat the space pirates. We have to fucking go into outer space, right? We're never gonna find it back on that old rock where we were.
In Egypt. Now, Egypt kind of makes sense because they're highly cooperative with the United States, and also the Sinai Canal is kind of important. Just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a pirate. I mean, the Sinai Canal, I'd imagine, the Sinai Canal? What the fuck? Hang on. The Sinai Canal. Is that the other type of canal they were trying to build?
Is the Sinai dense because they're highly cooperative with the United States, and also the Sinai Canal is kind of important. Just saying. With Israel, it's more, Donald Trump he's unabashedly pro-Israel. But all other foreign aid at the moment is paused, actually. And they're reviewing, like, who should get what aid, what are we doing with this? So right now we're not giving money to a bunch of other countries that we've been giving hundreds of billions of dollars to.
It's always about the money with these pirates, mate. Like, it is very weird. Like, honestly, like, it's kind of surreal just looking at this. My little top hat, his little tricorn hat. It's like fucking aristocrats versus fucking, the fucking moral majority.
Absolutely no reason in some cases. This is a very, very positive thing. Again, I would just pause all aid and say all of you can screw off because you don't need our aid in many cases. Israel is a developed nation. I can understand giving Egypt money.
I wonder where he got
better access to the Sinai. Other than that, and maybe Turkey because of, the Bosphorus, I would say, generally speaking, we shouldn't be giving foreign aid. The United States taxpayer has to profit.
He's really saying the Sinai. It's the Suez. It's not the Sinai. I really don't think it's the Sinai Canal he's talking about.
Up like Atlas, hundreds of billions of dollars worth in U.S. aid every single year. We give free grain to people in famine zones. We give MREs to people in disaster zones. We give free weapons to people from yesteryear to fight wars and everything else under the sun.
Yep.
At some point, we have to be honest with ourselves and realize, while we can protect the Western world, and while we can save our allies and we can help people around the world, there are limitations to our ability to do this. I have no problem with my money, in part, going to help people that are starving to death, or people that are in some war zone and they're literally fleeing for their lives. Like
Somalia.
Darfur or something like that. I would notice that past administrations have ignored that particular crisis in favor of world policing. And that's really the problem. We get involved in conflicts that have nothing to do with us. And we're giving aid, in some cases, to both fucking sides. It makes no friggin' sense. Diplomatically, it doesn't make sense. Pragmatically, it doesn't make sense. Economically, it doesn't make sense. And militarily, it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. And please, try to elucidate to me why we're doing this. The fact is that the United States will play both sides in proxy conflicts and then send free shit to these people. We have millions of people in the United States who are badly impoverished, incapable of paying their bills. We have millions of people who are outright homeless in our country. We have elderly people on pensions that are incapable of paying for heating fuel and things like that. We don't need to be giving so much money to foreign countries when we could be helping the domestic population. Charity starts at home. Once we uplift things here in the United States, then we can loosen the purse strings and be very gregarious. But we have to take care of ourselves, and we haven't been doing that. The United States is on the ropes in that sense. We're still a very powerful nation, the greatest empire that the world has ever known, arguably, at this time. And Trump is also rather expansionist. I happen to approve of this expansionism, by the way, by any means other than military. I don't believe you need to invade Greenland or Canada or something like that. That would be a problem. I wouldn't support that. By and large, though, Donald Trump is doing very well. And I'm very glad that the State Department, and some people were like, well, Rubio, he's a neocon. Well, I mean, we're less than a week into the administration, and one of the first acts as State Department head is to freeze foreign aid. I think that's exactly what we hired him for. So, yeah, give him a chance. Give him a little bit of time. We'll see how long the freeze holds, what the end result is, and so forth. But on paper, the basic premise is a very, very good one. we need to take care of ourselves. If we don't take care of ourselves, if the United States falls on hard times, we're just, frittering away money on.
Yeah, we have to take care of ourselves, but the problem here is that a lot of this is basically just taking away from people. We're going to be taking away, like I've said before, get rid of DEI. This DEI stuff is going to it's going to create racism, right? You're going to have instances where there are people who are of African American descent, right? And they're really good at their skill and whatever they have, but people are going to start avoiding them because they think they're a DEI hire. Like, let's say you're a doctor, right? You might not get picked as much, right? Let's say you're a lawyer. You might not get picked as much. It really does have an effect on people, right? A lot of this will be, basically saying, hey, you guys stole our opportunity costs. There's a huge opportunity cost that's going to be that we have to retrain now. We have a whole population needs to be retrained. And it's going to be a wealth transfer from these fuckers. And the question here is who are we going to go after? Are we going to go after the college educated? Are we going to start taxing the college grads, which I think we should, and also academia, and start defunding academia and taking some of those resources to give it back to the American people? I think we should just break apart academia, honestly, and have just a few institutions. None of this community college shit. Not because community college is bad or anything. It's just simply because you should have a trade school at this point. College should be something that you aspire to want to be part of, but now it's just trivial shit, We all want to go to Harvard. We don't want to go to fucking Harvard Junior College.
On foreign wars and shit. We will be weakened. And then at some point, when there's a major escalation, we won't have the means to actually get involved at all. The same with manufacturing. Trump is like, drill baby drill, I'm going to deregulate factories as much as possible. That is also potentially very valuable if you end up in wartime. My hope is that for the next 4 years, we have no wars, we have no conflicts, we withdraw from those that we're already involved in. We make it clear to our adversaries, don't fuck with our allies, we would rather not fuck with you. That's basically...
Yeah, well, right now we're doing the R&D process, right? Like, I keep saying the reason why we're going to Mars is because the fucking, the Indians and the Chinese, they can go to the moon now. So we have to show them that we can, because of our rocket technology, right? Because it's the same fucking tech, right? Can get us to fucking Mars. If we can get to Mars, imagine how fast we can get to Moscow. Imagine how fast we can get to Beijing. And how fast we can get to the shithole that, I don't know, India. Is it Bangalore? Is it fucking New Delhi? I don't know. I don't know my location because I'm never going to go there, and fuck that place. It's a shithole, quite literally.
Basically what we should be doing. But in the meantime, having a better manufacturing sector, less regulations, less bureaucracy, better manpower, better troop readiness, and all of these things are very important. Goddamn, Donald Trump just deployed the U.S. Marines to the southern border. I think that he might be serious about this whole border control thing. By the way, you can look that up. I posted it to Twitter, reposted a video. They've got vertibirds and everything. Good fucking luck getting across the border at the moment. I think that he's serious about these things. Will he be perfect? No. But if this is an indicator, if the U.S. State Department, run by somebody who is not core MAGA, by the way, but has clearly been copped by Donald Trump. I hate to tell you, Mr. Rubio, but yeah, you're being walked around like Nancy Pelosi walks Chuck Schumer at the moment, which is for benefit, actually. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Now, Marco Rubio is all right with me as long as he is doing the MAGA thing. If the State Department is freezing out virtually all foreign aid, again, with those two very, very conspicuous sides, I think that is a very, very good thing for the United States. That money can be used internally. We can help people, veterans, the homeless, the aged, elderly, the impoverished. We can use that money to help them. If I'm paying taxes and it's feeding some old lady or getting a kid to school, that's fine. And I say this as a goddamn libertarian. I just don't want it to be used to make munitions to kill Yemeni orphans or something like that. And I definitely don't want to go into fucking Pakistan or some other third world nation, has nuclear weapons, by the way, for absolutely no goddamn reason.
Yep. Yep. Once you have nuclear weapons, you kind of have to get cut off of the aid, isn't it? Isn't that right? Let's see. What else we got here besides that? Okay. Speaking of the crazy foreigners, this happened. James. Good old James Lindsay. And I don't know what the fuck's going to happen to James Lindsay, but I think he's going to have a nervous breakdown at some point. Not that he hasn't already, but weird satanic Russian thought leader of the woke right has thoughts for the woke right. James Lindsay's talking about our walrus friend. Oh, he's not even he's not even a friend. We got to beat him to death with an oar. Just fucking crack his skull open with a fucking oar. And then throw him throw him in a bonfire. Now it's time for American right woke to make regime change. American business as usual in Europe. Go to remake now what left American left woke has made. Yeah, again, and this is the guy who spooks me, right? Because here's the thing, we already know these pieces of shit infiltrate every part of America. Whether they're on the black nationalists or the white nationalists. They don't give a fuck, okay? And yeah, there's evidence of this guy recruiting both of these fuckers, right? And now James Lindsay's talking about it. Wait till he... Oh, we have such sights to show you, Jimmy. We have such sights to show you. But before we get to that, we have to talk about everyone's favorite freaking Walrus. And... Well, speaking of the Walrus...
Excuse me? You're a walrus man, aren't you?
Nope. Nope. Not the freaking Walrus. Wrong answer. Where is it? Okay. No, I guess I don't have... Oh. Is it this? 1 second.
Why is it that beautiful?
Yeah, this is it. Damn. Fuck, I thought I had it. Anyhow, well, fuck him off. We don't care about the Walrus. We'll deal with that at some point. You know, first things first, psycho chicks.
Why is it that beautiful women are crazy? People have been asking...
Why are beautiful women crazy? Just tell me, Nightman.
this question for a really long time, even back to Plato, where he was quoted one time saying, "It's from my own experience and the experience of my peers that goth bitches are just as hot physically as they are insane mentally." But
yes.
Why is this the case? Not from an anecdotal perspective, but from a psychological perspective. And guess what? I have that information.
God damn it. I'm sorry, but goth chicks are a fucking thing, and I mean, fuck, let me see if I got it here. I have it here. I made this part of the act. There we go. There she is. I decided to give myself a goth GF, or not even a goth GF, more specifically just the goth cleaning lady who just happens to be here. There you go. Say something, sweetheart. Oh, she's thinking. Okay.
There's a lot of data actually out there to support this is a real thing and what exactly causes it. And turns out it's extremely interesting in my opinion. And at the end of this, I have a piece of advice that I think is really useful. You see, people who are beautiful, especially women, are treated insanely different from other people around them. Now, it's funny.
Yeah, it's a charisma check. There's an actual thing called charisma. It's not just because they're beautiful. It's because there's a certain, you can be the most beautiful chick in the world, and if you don't dress well, you can, take a negative to your charisma score, But I wanted to get to the point where he starts talking about the practical advice for men.
And there's something you can utilize with this. Take care of your appearance. Looks are very important. People will treat you and view you better if you take care of your appearance. That means even if you aren't that attractive, maybe you're average or less attractive, there are tons of things you can do, especially as a guy. Take care of your clothing. Get clothing that fits you well. Take care of your beard, either have it fully shaven or trimmed very well. Don't just grow hair on your face. Hair on your face alone, it's not good looking. It needs to be taken care of. And if you have hair on your head, take care of the hair on your head. Get a good hairstyle. Try out new things. People will treat you differently if you dress differently, if you appear differently. As long as you're not ugly, the most important things are in your control. I say this as a guy who's kind of average looking at 5'5", but I take care of my appearance. I put a lot of time into it. And the key principle...
So he's basically gonna tell me to looks max. Looks max to basically get the goth chick. Right.
I've learned is to try and stand out and be unique and wear clothing that makes you look more attractive. The uniqueness allows you to get attention, and wearing clothing that makes you look more attractive just draws more people to you. It's very important. So logically speaking, if people treat you better and view you better based off of your appearance, whether it's superficial or not, doesn't matter. People treat you better for it. Thus, it is in your best interest to improve it so that people view you and treat you better also.
Yeah, so basically you're gonna have translation, wear the fucking clothing that gives you better stats with charisma and whatnot and speech.
You can't change the game. You can't change how people are. People are always going to be like this. So use it to your advantage. Anyways,
so basically, to beat the goth chicks, we have to start using glamour. Okay. I mean, it works. I mean, I freaking got a job at one of the really prestigious company because I first you get the money, and then you get the power, and then you get the women, right? Well, what's a word for money? Dough, right? Like doe, a deer, a female deer, right? and I pick up and using that type of logic and that thinking, right? That type of just insane, fanciful associations. Buy yourself a pair of shoes that has the little stag on it, like the deer, right? And use it in a job interview. Hey, you basically you get ahead, and I got a really good job out of it. Very interesting. That type of thinking is, that's what I guess Stick Sexaham would call chaos magic. I don't fucking know. Just fanciful associations, so to speak. Let's see. What else do we got here to talk about? Okay. Here we go. Melanie Mac and Cheese. Well. Here we go. I have a Melanie Mac and Cheese. Antinomianism. This would be my answer to Melanie Mac. By the way, fucking beautiful eyes. I'm an eye guy, and people can understand why I'm an eye guy. There we go.
First of all, not even prostitution is something much less than that. No. All the women I met in the church, maybe I just don't have a very good experience with church women, but all the women that have some kind of traumatic past after they give their life to Christ, they're still living in that trauma. They're not fully healed. I would say they're still holding on to unforgiveness. They're still holding on to something, and that's why they're not healed, and it's not because God cannot fully heal somebody. So now, with all that being said, I'm gonna give you a list of consideration. So my suggestion in this thing is that be very careful when you are in this situation. I can't say absolutely no, because everything has an exception. Now, I wanted to address a few common concern and common saying in the Christian community, and what other people might say and why I disagree with them. First of all, Christian will tell you Mary Magdalene, Jesus' disciple, was a prostitute. Yes, that only means she is a sister in Christ. That doesn't mean you should marry her. That doesn't mean it's wise to marry Mary Magdalene. So second, a lot of people will say Rahab. I hope I pronounced that name right. Rahab the prostitute in the Old Testament. I think in Joshua that she helped the Israelite spy to hide in her house, and because of this choice that God considered her as righteousness. So, and not only that, but Rahab, actually this former prostitute, was in Jesus' genealogy. So there will be people that bring this up, tell you that the past doesn't matter. It's completely erased by your decision to give your life to Jesus Christ. I want to point another things out too, regarding this argument. Yes, Rahab is in Jesus' genealogy, but Rahab is not Jesus' mother. Jesus was born out of a virgin, not out of a prostitute.
Yep.
Just pointing that out. And the last one is Hosea. So this is probably like the most argument you will hear from the Christian community is that, God asked Hosea to marry a prostitute, and that prostitute just keep going back to prostitution. Just never repent. And obviously that's a tragic. But will God tell you to marry a prostitute in real life? No, because in Hosea, in that book, and if you read the Old Testament, you actually read Old Testament. I know a lot of people don't read Old Testament. You will find that throughout the Old Testament, God compared himself as the husband and Israel as the unfaithful wife, because Israel keep committing adultery on God with foreign gods, with idols. They keep running away from God. So when God asks Hosea to marry a prostitute, the purpose for that is to let Israel realize that that is how you have been treating me, that I am the husband who keep rescuing you, but you keep playing the harlot.
The harlot. Keep playing the harlot. The harlot. I like the fact that there's a lot of Christian content out there. I would prefer this chick over Melanie Mac. I don't even know if this chick is I don't even know if she's like a Catholic or of a Protestant denomination. She probably is Protestant denomination. I don't know. But the big thing that a lot of these new Christians are gonna struggle with is antinomianism. They're gonna struggle with that problem. And antinomianism is basically the same thing as licentiousness. It's a noun. It's a lack of moral or legal restraint, especially in regards to sexual behavior. It can also mean a disregard for rules of correctness, right? So these guys are going to be basically politically incorrect, but the problem here then becomes, well, where's the hierarchy, right? Because in order to be politically incorrect, you acknowledge there must be some sort of correctness, right? And I think what we might see is, people of, a certain, Christian sect, start fighting with other Christian sects, and we'll see infighting as a direct result of the MAGA movement. It'll all be the Christians taking over, and we won't get anything done.
Why I even think about this topic is that I noticed that on YouTube, the majority of testimony, especially the viral one, the most popular one, are testimony from brothers and sisters who have a very traumatic past, something that human power cannot redeem. And I understand that, and I always believe God's power. I have seen God radically transform people. So I am not saying God cannot do that. What I'm saying is that when you have seen so many testimony like that, you will develop this Christian sentimentality that when you are facing a choice to whether to marry somebody or not, this sentimentality will come up to you and accuse you for judging a person's past. When that is your discernment, don't let other people accuse you for your desire to marry somebody who have a clean past before Christ. That if you want to marry a Christian girl that grow up in the church, that have Christian parents.
I'm sorry, her eyes are just so fucking beautiful. They really, really, truly are.
If that is your desire, and you also have a clean past, and even if you don't, okay? If that is your desire, you shouldn't let anybody to shame you for the type of ideal spouse you want, because marriage must be based upon desire. God.
Yep. And so, use discernment, right? But the problem here is that a lot of us who are in the Christian faith, we look at people like Melanie Mack, right? We look at people who basically, again, just like what is her problem? Why is she being such a freaking weirdo?
So the other night I was trying to sleep and I couldn't just because I had a lot of running through my brain. And
again, I'm not even gonna bash her for the tattoos. Those take time to come off, and they also cost a lot of money to get off. I don't know why she's I don't know what time this was taken, but never seen her without the freaking eyeliner. Okay, whatever. I'm sure you could sleep in it, right? Choker. Why? Take the choker off. There's no reason for you to have a choker on. Take the fucking choker off.
People trying to cancel me on the internet and all kinds of stuff. So I prayed that God would help me be able to go to sleep. I closed my eyes. I turned over and I realized I had a song stuck in my head, and it was just repeating and repeating and repeating. And then I registered what that song was, and it was This Little Light of Mine, which for those who don't know, that's a Christian song for kids. And it's this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. And that really touched me because it's like, okay, a lot of people that I upset and people that are mad at me, it's because I'm sharing either the Bible or lessons from the Bible, right?
Yep.
That come from the Bible and that can
Well, you use them selectively, but go on.
be backed by the Bible. And a lot of things that we hear from the Bible will upset and offend our flesh because the Bible calls us to be born again. And the Bible tells us to die to our flesh and our fleshly desires. So we're walking with Jesus by the Spirit and denying our own fleshly desires. It's okay to shine your light as a Christian.
Your light? Your light. So it's not God's light, it's your light. And now I'm thinking to myself, fuck. So it really is the angel of light. It's always is he keeps using the same disguise. What the fuck? It's an angel of light hiding in wolves in sheep's clothing, good sir. Fucking wearing a garment of light to protect yourself from what you really fucking are.
By society standards, if you share a corrupted worldly view of Christianity, that Jesus was just a hippie who accepted everything and tolerated everything as long as people are happy. But that's not the real truth. And when you share the real truth, people are going to try to hide your lights.
Your light.
Don't let them do it.
Your light. Not God's light. Because that would imply there's somebody above your ego. No such thing, right? right? I mean, you know what I mean. No, I don't know what you mean. Please enlighten me. How do you keep making this about you, despite the fact it's not about you? And yet you still feed these people because you're not having a dialogue. You're yelling out into a crowd. You're not fucking actually talking to anybody. You're not going on the street winning souls. Like, what the fuck? You're literally doing the armchair evangelism. That's what this shit is. Armchair evangelism. There's no fucking reason for it. But I will say this: she does have a good taste in eating butter. I'm testing. I'm eating some of this butter. I don't know. To understand the borderline, you have to get into the borderline mind. And I'll just say this: the borderline mind has a very good taste in butter. Anyway, but the Christian sentimentality.
I'll never force you to marry anyone because you need to be responsible for your personal choice. You know, in the Bible, marriage is not compulsory. God do not command every believer to get married. So it's based on your personal desire, and you also make sure there's one thing, that you are equally yoked. That's the only commandment God has for marriage.
Yep, and that's what I've always been pushing for. There you go. And then after that, I'm going to fuck the brains out of her. And be fruitful, as the Lord has said.
This is going to be a little bit harsh for some people to digest. Forgiveness, anybody who repents will receive forgiveness from God. And in God's eyes, you are completely cleansed. With all that being said, nobody should judge you by your past. Nobody should refuse you in the church and, not loving you as brother and sister in Christ. But when it comes to marriage, it's a different thing. Why am I saying that? Because you're joining one flesh with a person. You are not just marrying to one person. You're marrying to a family. Even if this person have little contact with their family anymore. Okay, most people become like their parent. There are only very few that become better than their parent. Most people inherit whatever merit, whatever problem their parent have. So when you get married to someone, always consider their family. Always consider this person's whole past, including his childhood trauma. That is a lifelong commitment. Why does so marriage fail? Because at the beginning, people are already thinking in their mind that, okay, if things go wrong, I'm just gonna divorce. So everything I said might sound harsh, might sound really picky, and even judgmental to some people. I'm saying this is only for you to seriously consider everything before you make that lifelong commitment, because marriage is holy. You don't divorce. You just don't divorce.
Yep, and a lot of people don't, and a lot of people do, right? Anyhow, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, be good to one another, take care of one another. Remember, saving the West is a side quest. This is the Renegade Podcast.